Alternative Network.
Good evening, everyone. It's Larry Sharpe here at the governor's house. Yes, I am running for governor of New York in 2018. I'm glad you're here. If you want to be on the show, please give a call, 877-480-4120. And I will take your calls, your questions, and chat with you. I was actually at an event last night, 2 nights ago, and it was a father's rights event, talking about the idea of 50-50 parenting and things like that and the unfairness of family courts. And I brought up lots of ideas about courts and issues and things of that sort. And that while there's many issues with family court, we've discussed some of those in previous shows. I'm happy to bring those up again if you like. But one of the things I brought up was the idea that a lot of judges, and probably actually too many of them, feel like family court isn't that big of a deal. Like, I don't want to be in family court. I want to be at the criminal court or at the civil court or whatever the case may be. I get it. It makes sense. I get it. But I would argue that family court is actually one of the most important courts. More important than any corporate civil court, more important than any other criminal court. Because if we have a better family court, and families treated better, and kids get a better deal, and divorces aren't so horrible and nasty, and people don't hate each other, and kids don't see their parents fall apart, then we'd probably have less crime and less criminals. We wouldn't need the criminal courts as much. But not just that, we also wouldn't have so many problems in business either. People would be more civil in general. They would have the right examples from their parents, not those who are yelling and screaming and lying about each other in civil court. Family court. So I think family court's a critical court. Really important. The problem is it follows the same rules, generally speaking, as our criminal court. And that is the idea that it is not about rehabilitation. It's not about being helpful. It's not about even righteousness. It is absolutely and positively about punishment. We actually don't have a good family court. We have good punishment court. Good. We punish people. That's well done. And our judicial system is not really a justice system. It's a punishment system. I want you to think about something real fast. All right. If Sam's here, and Sam's a bad guy. We all know he's a bad guy. And Sam decides he's going to rob my house. And he robs my house. And he steals $3,000 worth of goods out of my house, assuming I even had that much in my house. But yes, he steals that amount of goods out of my house, right? So what is justice for me? Sam robbed my house. What's justice? If you would ask a prosecutor or a police, they would say, getting Sam and putting him in jail for years. Well, sounds great. And they capture Sam and they put him in jail for 5 years. Where's my stuff? I don't get my stuff. I don't get any justice. I don't get anything. What do I get? I get to pay for Sam in jail. That's what I get. So I get robbed twice. I'm not even done. Because not only that, maybe the insurance gives me half of the value of my stuff, maybe if I'm lucky. And on top of that, my rates go up. So I got to pay more for insurance. Thanks, Sam. Robbed me 3 times. Well done. That's justice right now. That's not justice. That's just punishing Sam. And here's the worst part. If Sam has done something else bad, if Sam has a gun when he goes in, he gets extra time in our court system. Because that's justice, because he had a gun. Do I care if he had a gun? Do I get more property back because he had a gun? Did I lose less or more property because he had a gun? No, but he has guns. So give Sam 5 more years. So now I got to pay more for Sam, and he's not any better rehabilitated. In fact, now he's 10 years older, not 5 years older, and the chance of him being able to come out and be a productive citizen just went down, which means then when he comes out, he's on the dole, and I'm paying for him again. That's justice. That's justice. But what if instead, when he robbed my house, they caught him, he had marijuana on him or something? Oh, now he's a druggie, so he does 5 more years for that. Why do I care the reason why he robbed my house? Whether he robbed my house because he doesn't like me, or he wants marijuana, or he wants booze. I don't care why he robbed my house. How is that justice for me that he gets more years? How's it justice? Now he goes away 15 years. Again, less chance he's ever going to have any chance of a good life. His life is now ruined. It's over. Now his life is ruined on top of it. I don't get my $3,000 back. I have to pay for him in jail for 15 years, and he has no chance. He's now finished. How is that justice? Oh, but I'm not done. Now, because Sam said it wasn't him, it was someone else, and because he said it was someone else and not him, he used his rights to defend himself. Well, now he gets more time because the judge says you perjured yourself and you lied. What? He lied by defending himself. He gets 5 more years. Now he gets 20 years. Isn't that amazing? Now I'm paying for 20 years of him in jail. I don't get my money back. My insurance goes up, and I got to pay for it when he gets out. Bad, bad, bad. That's not justice. That's punishment. And of course, what the answer is, let's make more punishment. Let's make more punishment, and that'll work here. No. Because when Sam was robbing my house, he was not thinking, wait a minute, if I get 5 years versus 20 years, maybe I won't rob Larry's house. He wasn't thinking that. All he was thinking is, will I get caught or not? So I was thinking. So if anything, just give Sam the 5 years. It doesn't change the chances of him robbing my house or not. It's irrelevant. And I don't have to pay as much for him. And maybe he'll be able to get out and actually be a productive member of society. Now, that sounds crazy, but here's the reality. Tough on crime makes more criminals. Weak on crime makes more criminals. Fair on crime is the only way to make less criminals. Fair on crime. And we are not fair on crime. The sad part is, if Sam has $100,000 to pay for his defense, then he'll actually get a fair trial and probably fair sentencing because he can write a check for $100,000 or more. If Sam can write a check for $1 million or more, Sam will surely get a good trial and get great sentencing and maybe get off if he's guilty. That's how that works. If Sam can't afford to write a check for $100,000 or more, Sam's guilty, whether he did it or not. That's our current justice system. It's not justice. It's punishment. And it's skewed completely to the wealthy and those who can write big checks. It's not even close. Our justice system is an embarrassment. Our family court system is an embarrassment. In general, our judicial system is an embarrassment. I want to change that. I want to use the bully pulpit and be the marketer and talk about this and explain how bad family court is and how it crushes our families, how bad our criminal justice system is and how it crushes New Yorkers everywhere, how bad even our DMV system is. Do you realize that there are people out there who get 3 DUIs, which is bad, don't get me wrong, but they do their time either in prison or they do their time, in parole and are clean for 5, 10 years. And they lose their license in perpetuity forever. Is that justice? It's not justice. That's punishment. It's punishment. And not just that, you listen forever. Well, then, Larry, leave the state and go someplace else. You can't do that. When you move the state, because New York State revoked your license, they actually won't give you a license in another state. You may never drive in America ever again. This is our system in New York State. This is insane. This is not a justice system. It's a punishment system. But Larry, do you want these DUI people to just get all the licenses back? If they're clean and pay their debt to society, yes, absolutely. If they're clean and pay their debt to society, yes. Why shouldn't they? Right now, dear leader, King Andrew is giving people who are on parole their right to vote, right? They get it. And I'm okay. They get it. Fine. Well, then why don't these people get it too? Family court is no different. Somebody, a husband or wife, declares the other person angry or mad or did something bad. That person gets arrested. Now they have a record. They lose their Second Amendment rights permanently because now they're crazy or convicted, supposedly, of domestic abuse now, right? The law was just signed recently, right? Permanently. They're not able to defend themselves ever again, permanently, in perpetuity. These are the ideas that are wrong. This is a punishment system, not a justice system. It has to change. All right, let me grab a phone call if I can. I've been on my bully pulpit, but I'll stop. I'm going to take Tom on line one. Tom, how are you?
Hey, Larry, I'm doing great, buddy.
What's going on?
Man, I tell you, every time I hear you talk or you post something on Facebook, and it keeps inspiring me to work harder. First off, I want to let you know, I agree with what you're saying about the justice system.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
It's not fair. And one of the areas that it really makes us look bad
yes,
is in the case of people who are addicted to drugs.
Yep.
They automatically think, well, we'll jail them, we'll fine them, and when their time's up, we'll put them on probation, and we'll sweep it under the rug. Well, I'm sorry. Regardless of what they're addicted to, that is still a human life. That human life has rights, and I believe firmly that that person, whoever they may be, has gifts and talents stored inside them.
Yep.
That if we can clean them up and do it in a professional way without creating a tax burden on the people, shouldn't we do that?
Without question, and there are already systems that are working that way. And I'm talking about this for New York State. There are two things we have to work on here. Number one, the concept that because someone is an addict, that makes them a criminal is terrible, right? If someone, and I hear this all the time, but these addicts are criminals. If you're robbing someone's house, like in my Sam example, go to jail for that. You robbed someone's house, yes, but don't go to jail because you had a substance on your body or a substance in your body. That's not why you go to jail. If you commit a crime, then you go to jail. I got it. No. Possession is not a crime. It is a crime. Possession should not be a crime. It's embarrassing that it is, number one. But number two, right now they have a situation in Massachusetts called Humvee. And this is actually a situation where they put veterans together in one community, give them a chance to get together, support each other, and get out of jail early. The recidivism rate in Massachusetts is over 70%. But with this program, it's under 5%. Huge difference. Huge difference. Let's do the same thing for people who have substance abuse. Same people who come out of gangs. Same people everywhere. We call them crews, community reform units. That's what should happen in jails in New York State now. Now, the COs, the corrections officers, my father, by the way, was one on Rikers Island, it's a disaster. I talk to corrections officers all the time as I cross the state, and they tell me the same thing. Larry, it's terrible. They're closing prisons. We feel like zookeepers, all kind of crazy stuff. Here's what I want to do instead. To your point, those people who are going to jail for committing crimes, instead, if it's drug related, put them in community resource units and allow the COs to pick and choose the people who come on in. The people come into these units, give them a chance. And here's the best part. In the other systems, 2 COs run it. That's just 2, plus volunteers. People want to help these people. It is natural. If you were a substance abuser and you got your act together, it is natural you know and you can help people and make this happen. We should be facilitating this without question. You are absolutely right. That's what should be happening. But not just that. Right now in New York State, there's a thing called OASIS. OASIS actually controls who decides what for who is gets cleaned up and how they get cleaned up, how they deal with addiction. That group has to go away. They can be a resource, they can be a repository for information, but they should not be deciding what someone needs when it comes to addiction. Let people figure out how to beat their demons their own way. I appreciate the call. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Larry. Anytime, buddy.
All right, guys, if you want to call in, 877-480-4120. If you want to support me, LarrySharpe.com. Sharpe with an E. E makes it special. Be right back after the break.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.
Are you stuck in a rut? Negative thoughts, feelings, and conversations got you down? Hi, I'm Noreen Sumter, the Potentiator. Tune in every Tuesday, 9 to 10 Eastern Time, and listen for new ideas on my show, Beyond Potential. Live life your way on talkradio.nyc.
Who do you want to connect with?
Are you an entrepreneur or intrapreneur looking to build your following?
Welcome to our show.
Follow Me Friday with Joan
and Priya.
Tune in every Friday at noon Eastern
on talkradio.nyc.
We're your digital connectors.
Woo woo!
Talking Alternative Radio, 24 hours a day.
It's Larry Sharpe back on the Governor's House. I'm Larry Sharpe, running for Governor of New York 2018, and I have to make a small comment. There is someone watching and listening. Her name is Marlene. Marlene, I noticed you're watching, and for those of you, my wife might get angry. Marlene, I had such a crush on you when we were 12. Yes, this is the woman who I knew in elementary school, and boy, did I have a crush on her. Oh my God. I probably still do, Marlene. Don't get mad at my wife. Please don't get mad.
Can you see him blushing? Can you see you
I
blushing
probably
right
still
now?
have a crush on you now, Marlene. You're amazing, and I always have. And I had such a crush on you when we were 12 years old. Yes, it's true. There are people who actually known me for like 35 years. I'm sorry. No, we're all young, 25 years. For 25 years and are watching. So thank you, Marlene, for being part of the program. I really appreciate it. All right, I'm taking the phone call if I can. I've got Gus on line 2. Gus, how are you?
Hello, future Governor Sharpe.
Oh, I love when you call, Gus.
I was wondering if the results of this gubernatorial election will determine on whether you make a 2020 presidential run or not.
People ask me about that all the time, and I appreciate the feeling and the sentiment. I really do. The reality of it is I'm trying to win this race, and it's a winnable race. And I say that seriously. This is going to be a 5-way race. 5-way race. There are 5 different people who are running for governor and will all be on the ballot in November. Now, with the 5-way race, the advantage for me, of course, is that means I don't have to get about 25% to probably win this damn thing. Only about 4 million New Yorkers are going to vote because that's about how many ever vote. So that's 1 million votes. 1 million votes, I could actually win this thing. So my goal is to actually win this thing. If I don't win it, I will make massive impact and I will change how people think about government. And that's what I want. I will change how people think about being a governor and being a president and the whole idea. Will I run in 2020 to be forward? Probably not, but maybe. We'll see what happens. I'm focusing right now on the governorship. That's what I want to do. That's what I'm trying to do. So I want to do that. Did I answer your question?
Yes. Thank you, future Governor Sharpe.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Awesome. All right. I'm going to grab Bryce. Bryce, how are you, my friend?
Very good, future governor.
No, I love this. This is good.
That one too.
I like this.
You might have seen a tweet that I sent out earlier in the week from Cynthia Nixon regarding how the NYPD is still targeting minorities in the, quote, war on drugs, which I can't believe is still going on. Why do you think in such a predominantly blue state as New York, and especially a blue city like New York City, that something that is touted as such a Democratic Party cause is still so powerfully pushed in New York City? Why are we still targeting minorities for marijuana possession when the overwhelming consensus is it shouldn't even be illegal?
Yeah, no, the issue is a culture. That's the problem. It's a culture. And as I tell so many people, my father used to be a cop and then he was a corrections officer. But he had a lot of friends who were still cops. And I remember hanging out with one of his friends. And one of his friends had spent time undercover. He was a real hardcore cop in the 70s. And New York, as you know, was much harder than it is now in the 70s. And when we would go out and talk, and I was a kid, 8, 10, like that, I was a kid. we'd walk around and he'd start pointing at people and he'd start saying, yeah, I bet that guy's going to do this. And I bet that guy is going to do this. And he would start doing that. He would literally decide what these people's crimes were by looking at them and decide what they were going to be doing and how they'd be going to jail. Now, why did he think that way? He thought that way because he had spent so much time around bad people that he just assumed people were bad. That's what he had assumed, being undercover, being with hardcore people. That's what he assumed. The problem is the war on drugs. The war on drugs has to be funded, and it's heavily funded by civil asset forfeiture, by grabbing the goods of people and then having that go in to the pool so that it can pay for the war on drugs. That includes grabbing drugs, grabbing property, grabbing whatever they want to grab to fund the war on drugs. Well, if you're going to go do that, if you're going to go grab stuff, where are you going to hunt? Are you going to hunt in the gated community? Of course not. The gated community has people who know the mayor, who know the governor, who vote, all those things. They're going to do that. You're going to go to areas where people are afraid of government, don't know about the government, don't understand, which means, generally speaking, brown people, whether they're brown or black, but they're brown in one way, shape, or form. So you spend a lot of time hunting in the brown people areas because that's what works. You get more convictions that way. You grab more goods and services that way. But not just that, you have to grab cash, right? Cash is a big deal. How do you grab cash? Who has cash? Two types. Small business owners in poor neighborhoods have a lot of cash. And two, people who are immigrants who don't trust banks because in their country, the banks are bad. Ours are bad too. But theirs are bad in their country, so they don't trust banks. So they carry cash around. So that's who you hunt. So they've been hunting brown people, literally hunting them for 30 years. So if you've been hunting them for 30 years, how do you stop thinking? It is simply habitual. And why do I say that? Because even black officers do it. Even Hispanic officers do it. We think it's racial and only the white officers do it. No, black officers do it too, and so do Hispanic officers, so do Asian officers. They all do it. They've been hunting in brown neighborhoods for so long. They've been seeing so many people who have been bad guys, been brown. They just think it's brown people. So it is habitual. We have to break the habits. We have to stop with the incentives for this. We've got to end civil asset forfeiture, and we've got to push them into other areas to change the bad habits. If we do that, then we can make this change and break the war on drugs. Did I answer your question?
It does. And just before I go, I want to bring up that everything you just said about the fact that we even have people of color as officers doing this, Ice Cube brought that up when he was a member of NWA in the song F the Police.
Yes.
And that's 1989.
Absolutely.
Still not there.
As I said, for 30 years. That's what I said. We've been doing it for 30 years.
Exactly.
100%. I completely agree. I know. I get it. Look, to be forward, again, my father was in the same world. I get it. I completely agree. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All righty. All right, I want to grab another call. This is John. John, how are you?
I'm good, sir. I'm from upstate New York calling in from
I love it.
college right now, freshman in college. So I'm going to be voting in this governor election.
Okay.
My first question is, really, are you going to listen to the people of upstate New York? Because Andrew Cuomo is not hearing us at all.
No, I'm going to ignore them totally. I'm going to ignore them totally.
Absolutely.
I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. Have you
really getting frustrating?
Have you seen me running around?
We're a red area, and we're not getting our voice out there. We're not raising taxes on us.
Have you not heard me, seen where I've been going upstate New York? Of course. Look, I understand that Western New York, Central New York, North Country, Southern Tier, these are different than New York City. Absolutely. Even Suffolk County is different than New York City, and that's downstate. So they are absolutely different. I get that completely. For me to understand, and you may or may not know this, but I've already picked my lieutenant governor. He's already been nominated. By the way, in case you didn't know, I am officially the Libertarian Party candidate. I have been nominated officially. It is now the cool thing. Yes, it is. On top of it, I have now a lieutenant governor, Andrew Hollister from Rochester. So yes, I selected a lieutenant governor from Western New York to know, to understand, to get Western New York better. But not just that, I've been traveling. In fact, coming up this weekend, I'm going to be in Jamestown. And if you know New York State, that's about as west as you can get in New York State. That's probably closer to Ohio than it is Albany. So I'm going as far as possible. I am already going up there. I'm going to be in Jamestown. I'm going to be in Hornell. I'm going to be in Rochester, Geneseo, Batavia. I'm going out there and I'm going to be there in the next couple of days. So yes, I'm out there often. I very often go out there, but there's something more important. The other day, I was in North Country. I was in Canton. I was at St. Lawrence University in Canton. That's like I could probably throw a baseball to Canada, right? It was that close to Canada. So I was up there, and one of the guys in the room says, "Larry, what are you talking about the MTA? The MTA is great." And I looked at him and I said, "How do you know about the MTA? MTA? I live in a city." This guy, who's up a stone's throw from Canada, is going to tell me about the MTA. What's wrong with you? Are you kidding me? I'm born in this city. You nuts? You don't get to tell me about the MTA. But guess what? I don't get to tell him about dairy farming either. I don't know what's right for Canton, as he doesn't know what's right for Astoria. And that's okay. The whole goal of my governorship is the idea that we need to localize our government. We need to break away the federal mandates, break away the state mandates to allow local government to understand what works best for their people. I may or may not know what's right for Canton. Maybe. I don't know. Who cares? They do. And if they're wrong, it is government's job to protect the individual from local tyranny. That is my job, to make sure the local people aren't being tyrants, that they're not being bad and crushing people. That's what I want to make sure they don't do. But creating their own rules and regulations, please do that. Because if you're in Queens and if you're in Jamestown, you have different ideas, concepts, and that's okay. So 100%, I will listen to upstate New York. I will listen to Western New York. I will listen to all of New York, and I will let them have much more autonomy. I will take away those mandates. I'll get the people more involved in local government, and there will be different rules and regulations within each county, and I'm okay with that. Did I answer your question?
Okay. And I just have one more question for you.
Now you're getting greedy.
Would you be for defunding Planned Parenthood on the state level?
Yes.
Defunding? Because I know they're using funds for elections, and I don't think
I
that's
answer
fair.
and you keep talking. Yes. Yes, but it's not because I'm against Planned Parenthood. It's because I'm
Absolutely not. No,
I'm against
but
the government funding Planned Parenthood. Absolutely, yes.
But they cannot use money for, state funds. They're using money and they're throwing money into elections, and we're funding them. And I think that's morally wrong.
I completely agree. Totally agree.
Absolutely.
Thanks, John. I appreciate the phone call.
Defunding Planned Parenthood on the state.
Thank you, John. Appreciate the phone call. All right. So I hope I answered those questions. I will cover. Someone's yelling at me fracking. I keep them yelling fracking. You're yelling fracking, fracking. Okay. Let me answer you frackers. All right. I personally think fracking's probably a dangerous thing. Maybe, could be. I don't know. I'm not really sure. I don't care, to be forward with you. I don't care. I want the local people to decide what's right for them. I'm not an expert in fracking. Could be dangerous. Maybe it isn't. I don't really care. Why I don't care? Here's why. For me to create as governor a statewide moratorium is wrong. The reality of it is there's only about 15 counties that could even frack, and most of them are along the southern tier anyway. So they could, if they want to, pick fracking. The reality is most of them have already voted. They don't want fracking, and I'm okay with that. I don't need to be involved. Here are the two things I need to be involved in when it comes to fracking. Number one, it must be transparent. It was not transparent in the past. It was not. And they tried to hide behind intellectual property. I will not let frackers hide behind intellectual property. If you're saying you're going to put something into the ground, we need to know what's going into the ground. If you say, I can't tell you it's intellectual property, then it can't go in the ground. But if you are open and you let the local communities know exactly what's going in with no exception, fine, I'm okay with that, as long as all the affected counties agree. If they don't, no. If they do, go ahead. And there are a couple counties that are considering it because they're really having trouble financially, and they're okay taking the risk to bring some finances to their counties. If you're okay with it, I'm okay with it. I'm not someone who, again, I want localized government to the best of my ability. Let the local people decide, again, as long as they are absolutely transparent. I hope I answered that question. All righty, we're going to a quick break. I'll come back in a couple seconds. LarrySharpe.com.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.
Are you into comics, movies, and pop culture at large? What about music and TV? Then you're in for a treat. This is Michael Dolce, your host on TalkingAlternative.com. I've been professionally writing comic books, screenplays, and music articles for almost 15 years. Catch my show, Secrets of the Sire, at its new primetime slot, Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and get the inside scoop on the pop culture universe you love to talk about. For more info, go to secretsofthesire.com.
Hello, this is Bruce Chamoff, host of the Web Design and Technology Coach. Join me and my guests every Tuesday from 8 to 9 p.m. as we discuss the latest in web design, social media marketing, search engine optimization, and technology. We also discuss popular topics, including WordPress, making money online, better Google rankings, and more. Every month, we also feature the best unsigned music from around the world, right here on talkradio.nyc.
Talking Alternative Radio, 24 hours a day.
It's Larry Sharpe, and I'm here at the governor's house. I'm running for governor of New York in 2018. If you like what you're hearing, tell people, share, and also realize you can support me at LarrySharpe.com. Donate what you can. This takes up a lot of my time. As you probably know, I am out there. Actually, I'm campaigning 2 to 3 to 4 days every week. And, of course, if you guys know, I don't have a job. I'm a consultant. I get paid by my clients. If I'm not in front of clients, I don't get paid. So I am getting beat up here, which I'm okay with that. I don't need you to feel sorry for me. But if I'm going to bleed and you like what I'm doing, bleed with me. LarrySharpe.com. Donate. Give what you can. $100, $50, $75. You pick. Do what you can if you want me to keep going. If you like this to be the way that a lot of people, if you want other candidates to be able to be open with others, if you want other candidates to do this kind of thing, then start. This is the future. You want to make it work? It takes money. Thanks for supporting me. All right, let me grab a couple of things. All righty. You want to grab a couple questions, Brian?
Yeah, I think Jeremy wants to stalk you. He'd like to know, do you ride public transit or Uber/Lyft?
Yes. As a general rule, if I'm traveling any place outside of New York City, I tend to use Uber. Not that I'm against Lyft. I just grabbed Uber first, so I tend to stick with Uber, even though Uber pisses me off sometimes. But I still tend to deal with Uber more than anything else. That's my general rule. If I'm traveling cross-country, I actually often ask of libertarians to pick me up so I can have conversations with them. People tease me and say, Larry, why in the world would you want some libertarian you haven't met picking you up? Why? So I can spend time talking to them. That's so I can spend time in that car having that conversation and understanding what they want, what's important to them. Do that often. Now, when I am in New York City, I usually will use public transit begrudgingly because the MTA is a disaster. The subways are an embarrassment. I say all the time, New York City is a great city until it rains. Then it turns from New York City to Mogadishu. We become Mogadishu when it rains. All of a sudden, you can't get around. All of a sudden, everything's a disaster. We're better when it snows than when it rains. Mind blown. Yes, New York City is a better city when it snows than when it rains. So I tend to use public transit, usually the subway. I drive on the weekends. I usually don't drive during the week. I live in Queens. I walk to the subway. I walk around Manhattan when I'm in Manhattan working. My office is in Manhattan, and my home is in Queens.
Rich asks, immigration and sanctuary cities.
Yes. Immigration is a federal issue. There really isn't that much we can do in New York State. It's tough to deal with the issue in New York State. It really, as I said, the federal government even allows for people who are immigrants to pick up and be on the federal dole. We can't even stop that, really. All we can do is decide if we want to allow for sanctuary cities or not. And people get mad at me either way, no matter what I say. So be very forward about this. It's a local issue. I know many people in Western New York get mad when I say, but you'll let New York City be a sanctuary city. Yes, I will. And if you want your county to not be sanctuary, don't let it be. I'm okay with that. If you think you should be cracking down on immigrants, crack down. If you think you should be helping out ICE, help ICE. If you don't, don't. If I actually cracked down on ICE and did not make New York City a sanctuary city, my city would shut down tomorrow. I'm not exaggerating. My city would shut down tomorrow. I'm not doing that to my city. And if it makes you angry, I apologize. I hope there are other things that you can agree with me on. But I know a lot of people are mad about that, but that's the way it is. I am absolutely okay with local communities deciding how they want to handle the sanctuary city issue. You decide how you want to do it. And the best thing I ever heard actually once is I was actually upstate at a coffee shop, and a guy said, Larry, I like you. There are certain things about you I don't like. Whatever I don't like, I could probably fix locally. And I said, you're right. That's perfect. Yes. Fix your stuff locally. I'm good with that. No worries. So I hope that answers your question.
Michael asks, how do we get back to an agri-friendly market in New York State?
Yes, this is also another tough thing, too. The sad part is the average farmer in New York is over 55. That's a problem. Not that I don't want farmers over 55. I want lots of farmers over 55. But I also want them 25, 35, 15. I would like younger farmers. That's what I would like. I would prefer to have a lot of farmers throughout New York State. Sadly, right now, for most farmers, they have three choices. Choice one, sell your farm to a bigger farm. Sadly, people are doing that. Choice two, get a job because you can't afford to work your farm. So your farm becomes your hobby because you like farming. You've got to work off the farm to make any money. Step three, walk away, leave New York State. I don't like any of those. So what do I want to do? I want to create basically a farm bill that is similar to one being done in Wyoming. And that is the idea of saying, if you agree that you will sell your products within New York State and not cross the border, and to be clear, not with some detailed plan, just sign a sheet of paper. That's it. One sheet, sign it, you're good. I want to make you immune to all federal regulatory bodies. Now, why does that matter? Because big farms always sell across state lines and will always have to follow federal regulations, always. Small farms now won't have to if they sell local. It allows a local farmer to service its local community. It allows a local farmer to have an advantage to kind of compete with bigger farms. But not just that. In addition, I want to make hemp and marijuana, cannabis, 100% legal to farm. And I know people say, well, it is legal now. No, with a bunch of regulations that make sure only cronies and big business can do it. I want to regulate hemp and marijuana farming the same as onions. I'm not joking. The rules and regulations on onions should be the same for marijuana and hemp. If you want to grow, grow. Let farmers grow what they want to grow, how they want to grow it, and give the local farmer an advantage if he decides to stay local. If he or she wants to be local, they should have an advantage. And that's what I'm trying to achieve. Now you might say, but Larry, what if they want to get bigger and cross state lines? Awesome. They'll know that once they cross state lines, they will then have to deal with federal regulatory bodies, and then they can prepare effectively or choose not to. It's up to the farmer. They may want to stay small. They may want to get big. Awesome. But now they have a chance, and they can pick and choose what they like. I hope I answered that that question for you. And I'll take one more. I'll take a phone call. I'll grab a phone call. This is Jim. How are you, Jim?
Hey, I'm doing good. I have a question. What's your feelings on, say, open disclosure of campaign funds?
What do you mean by that? What do you mean my opinion on it?
Well, I just want to know what your feelings would be if, say, politicians had to, during the campaign trail, disclose where they got all their money from.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Look, let me give you my perfect world. You want my feelings on this, right? Campaign finance right now is a disaster. It's a disaster for several reasons. Number one, it's so complex and convoluted that most people are going to have to pay some kind of fine in some way, shape, or form, which crushes third parties like me. Because if I have to pay a fine, it's devastating. If Cuomo has to pay a fine, he's got $12 million. He doesn't care. He writes that off like nothing. Me, all of a sudden, I have trouble working now. he gets to write it off. So these types of deep regulations hurt the small guy tremendously. What I would like is very, very simple. In my perfect world, and this is not true and not the law, but you've asked my opinion, let me give you my perfect world. In my perfect world, corporations are not people. I don't know why we decided that corporations are people. That is embarrassingly bad. We as a nation should be ashamed that we've made that true. It is clear corporations are not people. That's a terrible idea. Don't do that. But it is true and embarrassing. But again, in my perfect world, they're not, which means the only people who could give money to candidates are individuals. Individuals should be able to give whatever amount they want. Whatever amount, $1 billion if you want to. I don't care. But to your point, it must be transparent. Everyone must know. If that were the case, two things would happen. People say, but then the rich people will get all the money. They get it now. That's what's happening now. But you know what would be able to happen? Someone who thinks I'm a great guy could write a big check to me and give me a chance. Cuomo's already going to have millions, regardless of whatever law's in place. But with that kind of transparency, I might actually get a shot at it. But not just that. Now, what Cuomo's worried about now is what he did legal, even though it's totally unethical? If you remember the story, he had like 5 different LLCs, mix and match and ship to give him money to make it legal, to get around the rules. Clearly unethical, but no one cares. They care about, is it legal? I want to care if it's ethical. If it had to be obvious and Joe Schmo could write him a check for $10 million, but everyone had to see it, Cuomo will be concerned. How does this look? Does this look bad? Do I want his money? We would be concerned about what is ethical and not what is legal. So to your point, I love the idea. I wish that no people, no organizations were people at all. Someone said unions aren't people. I agree. No organizations are people. Not unions, not PACs, not corporations, nothing. They're not people. You know who are people? People. So people should be able to give whatever they want as long as it's transparent. You know, let the guy wear it on his sleeve, right? Let him wear it like the NASCAR drivers. Put the people's names on your sleeves. You know exactly who's supporting you, and we can decide whether that matters to us or not. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, because, I mean, you know, I hear people say, oh, we want to get money out of politics. You know, yeah, it'd be nice, but
no.
Nice if I went on a date with Kate Beckinsale.
Let me touch this, and this is the part that drives me absolutely crazy.
Doesn't work.
The number one complaint I get when people see me for the first time is, never heard of him. Who's he? He's get his name out. That takes money, you idiot.
Oh, yeah.
And people get mad at me. Well, I want to get money out of politics. Never heard of this guy. Here's the worst part. No one is actually saying it. Almost never do people actually say, hey, this guy seems interesting. What's his policies? That happens sometimes. And for those people, thank you for being open-minded enough to just say, what's his policies on? What's he's thinking about? That's what I want people to do. That's what Americans should do. If they did that, we wouldn't have to have so much money in politics. But sadly, those smart, savvy people are the minority. Most people simply say, never heard of him. He's got no chance. Snowball's chance in hell. I get that all the time, which what they're telling me is, Larry, raise a whole bunch of money and get TV commercials so you can be popular so I can think you're valid. So the American people have said, we need money in politics. I'm not saying it. I wish I never had any money in politics. But the American people have said it. They will not take me as valid if they haven't heard of me. The only way they have to hear of me, if I can buy advertising, spend time money on Facebook, get out lawn signs, do all those things I have to do that cost money. So I think you're right, Jim. You're totally right. The reality of it is we have to have money. The American people have spoken. Money is in politics.
Right. No, I totally agree. I mean, you're right now the one politician who lives out of my state. I actually live in Missouri. But I'm willing to donate money to you because.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it.
Well, again, it's like, you know, I couldn't vote for you if I wanted to. Believe me, I want to, but.
I appreciate it. Well, something to remember, though, guys, for you guys who are outside the state, there's something important to understand. What this is about more than just New York State. Obviously, I want to win. I'm trying to win here. But it isn't just about that.